I hope and pray that my colleagues will find the courage
She looked up from her phone
to join me
She's like, damn,
in
Bibby's really
opposing
crying.
this misguided and this dangerous bill. And I yield back.
Gentlewoman's time has expired.
Very cool. Thank you. Why? I can't believe you make me treat people as people. Why? I was told I should kill you all. Why? It's a big day. It's a big day for my League of Letters out there. It's a big day for my alphabet mafia. It's a massive day for all of them. And I'm very excited because today I can tell you that by the law, mostly, gay peoples now have normal, by the books, protected civil rights. Crazy. I know. What do I mean? Well, if you haven't seen, let me show you. The bill to protect same-sex marriage rights clears Congress. This is the Respect for Marriage Act that was made by the Democrats and passed through the Senate, passed through the House originally as a great bill, went to the Senate and became a okay bill, and now has passed the House as an okay bill again, but it's still a pretty good bill. A lot of people were poo-pooing on this bill. Some people were back and forth on what it was actually going to do. I've come to the conclusion that it's generally a good bill, but you know, obviously it could go further and it leaves room to go further in the future. So let me tell you a little bit about it, okay? Here's them signing it. Look at them. I bet Pelosi is so happy with herself. That's so nice. Anyways, so basically what happened is that this is a bill, obviously, to respect marriage, to respect gay people marriage, homosex marriage, as many people may say. Personally, when I say many people, I just say myself. I think it's funny. League of Letters people in this country have not had the same amount of rights as, you know, straight people and cis people have for a long time. And it's vitally important that they get this, because we were able to see what happens when we just rely on court cases to keep our rights in place. When conservatives are in office, they'll be revoking your rights. Now, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. There's not a single right that you hold, there's not a single right that you enjoy in this country that a conservative is not wanting, willing, and actively pursuing taking away from you. Not a single right that you hold, okay? Not a single right that you would like to gain. There's not a conservative out there at this very moment plotting to make sure that you don't get. I'm not saying this because I think that there's some sort of like wild demons or something sent from hell specifically to make our lives suffering. I wouldn't say that. Some other people would, but I wouldn't. I don't say that. They're very different from us, and they already have said that they're open to taking away an incredible amount of rights. I said it. I would. Listen. I just said I wouldn't say it, okay? Once again, if you think I'm playing, okay, listen to this.
So you would be okay with the Supreme Court leaving the question of interracial marriage to the states?
Yes.
So, you know, average conservative, average liberty-loving conservative right there. If you don't know who that is, that's Mike Braun, senior senator from Indiana, who actively believes, yes, we should indeed repeal the 1964 Civil Rights Act because it infringes on states' rights to infringe on human rights. because I believe states are more important than human beings in this country or something, right? Let's explain what this bill actually does. So this bill is set up in a way in which it forces states to recognize all valid marriage licenses, no matter where they are, no matter what they're doing. They have no right to turn down or turn away or not recognize a valid marriage license, no matter where it was, no matter where it's from. If the federal government recognizes it, the states have to recognize it too. You dumbass. You can't just say these people's love for each other or this marriage that you just don't like is incorrect or wrong or bad, and we're not going to respect it simply because you just fucking hate gay people and you're a horrible human being. Okay? Sorry. You have no right to take away other people's rights. That's where your rights end. All right? And the quicker everybody in this country figures that out, the better we're all going to be for it. Unfortunately, conservatives are very slow learners. Then, unfortunately, also, it's our problem a lot of the time. But thankfully, there were a decent amount of conservatives that hopped on. And when I say decent amount, it's decent for them. It's an inhumanly low amount of conservatives that voted for it. 109 conservatives in the House voted against it. And what, 38 Republicans in the Senate voted against it, an inhuman amount, but a decent amount still voted for it, right? More than you would expect, really. And that's because it cut out some things. And so you would imagine there's a catch, right? Conservatives wouldn't just give people rights without a catch. And you're right. There is a catch. The catch is states aren't required to issue marriage licenses if and when a situation came where Obergefell v. Hodges is overturned, right? And so if like the homosex people get like the woman treatment where they're, oops, you wake up, rights are gone, fuck you, if that happens, and then states just quickly run to take away your rights, they're going to be forced federally to recognize those licenses, and there's nothing that they can do about it, which is an amazing thing. And so this stops it stops them from being able to take away these rights. And don't ever let a conservative tell you that there was no reason. Nobody was attacking gay marriage. Why would you ever believe that we would do that? I mean, come on. When have we ever had a history of saying that law is settled and then just going back on it and doing whatever we want when it's politically expedient for us? When will we ever do that? Oh, when will we ever tell you that there's no reason to pass a law because it's been protected by the Supreme Court and we would never overturn that law? When would that happen? Come on. Trust us. We're the Republicans. Trust us. We wouldn't lie to you, right? But you think you think they would do that? You think the conservatives would just go online and start lying? Come on. Have a heart. Come on. But if you think conservatives are crying about this, let me tell you, you couldn't be any more right, because they are crying, literally crying.
Mr. Speaker, I'll tell you my priority. Protect religious liberty, protect people of faith, and protect Americans who believe in the true meaning of marriage. I hope and pray that my colleagues will find the courage
She looked up from her phone
to join me
She's like, damn,
in
you're just
opposing
really crying.
this misguided and this dangerous bill. And I yield back.
Gentlewoman's time has expired.
Very cool. Thank you. Wow. I can't believe you make me treat people as people. Wow. I was told I should kill you all. Wow. What the hell? My favorite part was here. You see when she starts tearing up and then this lady just like looks up. Look at her.
That my colleagues
She's like, what the f? She's actually crying. Like she's like, what the hell? She's like, bitch, you actually crying? It is very funny. I love it. I love it a lot. But speaking of women, Ben Shapiro would like to speak about women, because we're going to be moving over to talk about Ben Shapiro here. All right. And when he's not out making very strange comments about women online, virtually all of these women would be tweeting about the lack of diversity if this picture was literally in any other industry. So true. So true. White women. So true. White women be standing. White women be taking pictures. I'm so glad somebody finally notices it. Anyways, I want to take a look at what Ben Shapiro had to say, especially when it comes to this whole issue of same-sex marriage. And when I say issue, I mean his issue with letting gay people love each other.
As we say, this is the most important issue on the left right now. As always, the LGBTQ agenda on a social level.
This is not true. Gay marriage is not like the most important issue. Honestly, if you were going to ask people, is like gay marriage your most important issue? Even for like the polyqueer gender people with, once again, blue hair and many pronouns. Even I'm not even sure if they would say like their number one priority was gay marriage. You talk about it. It's really bad. You really hate it, but a lot of other people don't. It's not like that. It's not been like weighing on their mind like that, I guess. Strange.
This is the quote-unquote new civil rights movement. This is something the left is always looking for, is the new civil rights movement. The civil rights movement was the high watermark of morality for the left. Correctly, because the civil rights movement was excellent. Okay, and then we extended the same rubric of civil rights to a bunch of things that are not the same as race. Sexuality is not the same as race. Sexual behavior is not the same as race. These things are not the same as race. We extended that rubric because, again, the left is constantly looking for what is our next civil rights battle so that we can be the moral heroes. And for them right now, it's gay marriage. So with the Democrats taking the Senate, they're now going to move ahead.
What he said, I know he tried to word it in a really like crazy, spooky way, but what he means is that the left is looking for what they can do for their voters and people who are in need. And they're always like, oh, who can we help now? Oh, who needs rights now? So cringe. Am I right, Chad?
With a vote on a gay marriage bill. Now, what is the purpose of a gay marriage bill? There is no purpose to a gay marriage bill. Obergefell's already been ruled upon. And a simple gay marriage bill is not even a constitutional amendment. So it's not even above and beyond the Supreme Court ruling. The Supreme Court ruling is still the law. If the Supreme Court ruling were overturned, a quick majority in the Senate could quickly overturn this law. Okay, but
it's true. A quick majority in the Senate, Republicans could technically, if and when Republicans get the Senate, they could overturn the civil rights movement, I guess. I mean, Republicans could, when they get the House, make a bill and then pass it to overturn the civil rights. I mean, they could if they want. Do you think they're going to try and do you think they're going to throw away their all their political capital by overturning this bill? Do you really think they do that? I mean, I think Republicans are dumb as I think Republicans are hugely low IQ when it comes to their leaders, at least. But I don't even think that they're that dumb to try to repeal something like that. It'd be a real bad show. It would be a real bad show, chap. So, and that's the big reason for why these bills pass in the first place. Yes, we know they can overturn it. It is possible, yes. But forcing them to do it is the big reason for why we pass these bills in the first place. Force them to go on record. Force them to expand the political capital. Force them to deal with the blowback. Force them to deal with the election cycle to come afterwards, to know what people have, to tell people what they've done. This is why we pass these bills. I guess they could try to overturn gay marriage. I guess they could try to through Congress, overturn these things. There's a big reason. I'm not sure if you've noticed this, but there's a big reason for why conservatives want to go through the court to get a lot of this stuff done, because it allows them to have a level of distance between things that happen in the country when it comes to stripping rights from human beings and the actions that they took. It gets a little muddy when, some judges that some people who may not even be in office anymore voted in, that you can be like, I didn't vote for it. I didn't do it. Who could have possibly have seen this coming? But the law is the law. It's very easy to do that. You have a big defense there and wall between you when it comes to at least making an argument. But when you yourself put the vote down to make this happen and change, then it starts to be a lot harder for you to disconnect yourself from the actions that you took. And it's way harder for you to tell voters that you actually had nothing to do with it when they have a very clear, I don't want to say very clear. They have a 480p image from our public broadcaster, from PBS, that shows you literally voting for it. It's very hard to be like, I didn't do that, when you very clearly did. And I have a picture of it right here that I can show you. Look, you were doing it right there.
The idea here is that you're going to get all the Republicans on record as to whether they support or do not support same-sex marriage. Now, let me just put this out there for the Republican senators. If you vote in favor of the idea that society has an obligation to recognize male-male or female-female dyads in the same way that society has an obligation to recognize male-female, you should not be in the Republican Party. You shouldn't.
Damn, he's like, if you like gay people, you are out. You're out of the club, okay? You cannot hop back in the pool. Do not. If you are a homo supporter, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. We hate you. Holy, this is wild. Welcome to the left. Hey, buddy. I'm glad to have you.
Okay, the reason I say this is not because I wish to shrink the size of the Republican Party. Because if the fundamental basis of human society is male-female child, and you think that by passing a law you can change that reality, you do not belong in government. This is a very simple proposition. Men and men are not the same as a man and a woman who are capable of becoming.
None of this has any, I could argue against any of this, but literally none of this has, he's just grasping at straws at this point. This is very low IQ for Ben. Graduated from Harvard, mind you. Yikes. They're really accepting anybody these days, aren't they? You're right. It's all completely irrelevant. Nobody cares. It has literally nothing. I could argue against it. I don't need to. It's all completely irrelevant. It's just like grasping at straws from somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. Okay. Men are different from women. So true, bestie. Thanks for letting us know. So cool. Next, can you tell us what a Vagoober looks like? I think it'd be very interesting. We'd love to know. We all know this, but they're able to get married because they are human beings. And they are two consenting adults. And at the end of the day, here's the thing that a lot of these people, they just don't care about. They don't care about marriage, right? I can big cam this. They don't care about marriage. They've never actually cared about marriage. It's never been about that at all. It's about control. It's about controlling the narrative. It's about controlling society. And it's about controlling what you think is and is not okay. It's about control. All right. You see this a lot when they talk about women and abortions. When you really dig down into it, they'll have a bunch of ideas about why abortion's bad that they'll throw at you. But when you dig down through it and you like knock away all those low IQ arguments, you're left with them just basically saying, well, women can't make mistakes without being punished now, can they? We can't. You can't have them not suffer their consequences. And that's what they'll come down to at the end of the day. A lot of them will be like, women just deserve to suffer. If you accidentally get pregnant, fuck you. You deserve to suffer because you made a mistake. So your suffering is yours. So I'll lock you in that cage as the physiological process takes over to make you suffer because fuck you. Maybe next time you'll learn more and won't open your legs, slut. Like that's basically what it will always boil down to if you push them hard enough. And it's the same with this. Like, no matter what his religious views are, nothing will change the fact that the government in and of itself is not a religious institution. It's a secular institution whose goal is not to impose religion. Its goal is just to keep the state running. That's it. Like, the goal of the state is to make sure that the state exists tomorrow at this same time. And that's it. That's it. Every day they look at the clock and they're like, in the next second, I want the government to stay here. And then they do everything they can to make sure that that's possible, right? He can believe marriage is whatever he wants. Nobody's talking about going into his head and strapping him down to one of those codename Kids Next Door toilet plunger mind erasers that makes him no longer be a Jew boy. Nobody's wanted to institute that. No matter how many emails I write to Joseph R. Biden Jr., he will not write me back saying that he will be brainwashing Ben Shapiro into loving trans people, as unfortunate as that is. The government's idea of any of these things cannot and will not change his opinion on it. And it doesn't really matter to me. I don't really care what people think. I care really what they do. And so when you're in the public space and when you are serving the public as a business, then you have to play by the public's rules. If you're just some rinky-dink backwater out in Bufu, Egypt, okay, doing God knows what and selling like canned goddamn blackberries out of your basement, then go ahead, be as racist as you want, be as homophobic as you want. Once you start getting, subsidies from the government, and once you start like feeding off the government a little bit when it comes to the infrastructure that they built to make sure that your shitty ass business can run, make sure that your water is clean, make sure that your air is clean, make sure that they'll take care of you if somebody tries to steal the shit out of your store, and they'll help you sue people, and they'll do all this and that and the third, and you'll get tax breaks and all of this stuff. Once you start feeding off of the government like that, then you start to have to act normal. Nobody cares what's in your head. What they really care about is how they can control how other people act. That's it, okay? Once you start acting in the capacity of the state, of the government, how it's run, you and your beliefs. Get a new job if that's something that you care about so much. So you'll never have to do anything that you'll never want to do, you pretty little princess, okay? So you don't have to worry a single hair on your little head. Go do something in which you'll never disagree with anything that you'll ever do. But when you start acting in the capacity of society, you and what you believe, what matters is having society run and having people being able to access their rights. That's what really matters. So other people can be actualized. If that makes you sad, get a new job. Get a new job. I'm sorry. That's okay. If it makes you that sad to be able to give gay people rights, go somewhere else. Nobody has to change your belief. I'm not here to change your belief. I don't care about your beliefs. You have to act in accordance to what a normal, reasonable human being does when you have the capacity to work for the government. Okay? Period. That's it. That's it. Ben doesn't want to make sure that you can exercise your religious liberties. Ben wants to make sure that we can take away rights from other people because simply he doesn't believe that they deserve them. You don't have a right to be racist to people when you're working for the government. You don't. You really don't. You don't have a right to be homophobic when you're working in the capacity of the public sector. You don't. Absolutely do not. You can be as racist and homophobic and whatever hellism or phobic that you find that fancies, that rustles your jimmies when you go home, when you deal with your friends, when you do whatever you want, okay? You cannot invite women because they have cooties and black people because they stinky up to your treehouse while you play Nintendo 64 instead of doing your taxes. That's okay, you can do that. But when you start denying people like to eat or go places or public amenities, then you're a bad person, and then that's when you will be stopped. Ben Shapiro, you're a bad person. F you, okay? I would say die, but I would never say die because I would never wish death on Ben Shapiro, okay? Personally, I would never do that. I'm a good boy, okay? But this is what it is. They're just molding. They're mad. You're mad about people simply getting rights and being able to live the way that they want. It does not bother them. Does not infringe on their rights. And I think it's great that gay people are starting to get rights and Democrats are starting to get a fire lit under their ass a little bit to remind them, hey, these Republicans, bad people, and they will make our lives living hell simply to watch us suffer, okay? So we need to stop them, or at least get in their way a little bit, at least slow it down, something, a little more than nothing. Thanks, Dems, for the little you do. I appreciate it. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. If you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button. If you don't, it'll make Boo very sad. I know a bunch of you who are watching are not subscribed. Join the frenzy. You won't regret it. Thank you, Boo.